In 1993, Green Day did the unthinkable for an underground punk band. They left their indie label and signed with industry giant Warner Brothers.
We're gonna get on a major and we're gonna take the gamble. Let's not be halfway about it.
They really wanted to sign a record contract where they could choose the studio they recorded in, and that studio had to be within biking distance of their house because they didn't like cars and they didn't own cars and they didn't want to drive.
Armed with an emotional bag of pop-punk songs, the trio entered Berkeley's Fantasy Studios with producer Rob Cavallo.
I'm taking this sound and I'm blowing it up to major label quality, but I'm not going to bastardize or change the sonic quality of it because we have to have that integrity.
We wanted to really capture the energy of what we do live. We wanted a record to reflect who we were as a band. You know, $500 recording that style and put it on a big budget with more time and more time to get bigger sounds.
I remember them as being like a total learning experience. It was like we were going to college every day to some extent.
We showed up at like 12 noon every day, and we left at like 12 or 1 o'clock every night, and we made sure that we got great takes.
In the studio, they chose from the best of their songs, both old and new. Welcome to Paradise, originally released on their second record, Kerplunk, was given a sonic facelift. While Berkeley kids were writing home, imploring their folks to go vegan, Billy Joe authored an altogether different kind of Dear Mom letter.
I'm out on my own for the first time, thrown out of my house, 17 years old, living in West Oakland, you know, cracked streets, rats all over the place, living in an abandoned warehouse with 15 other people that have a similar story that I do. It's really empowering to be on my own and to find this sort of beauty in what is considered by adults or authority as ugly.
Welcome to paradise.
So, you know, if you can find beauty out of ugliness.
Billy Joe's fractured childhood was proving fertile ground for inspiration. Residual anxiety was manifest in moments of mental anguish.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine?
His catharsis was a song called Basket Case.
Basket Case was just about depersonalization. I've suffered from anxiety my entire life, you know, panic disorders. But I had no idea what it was. I thought I was just losing my mind. The only way I could know what the hell was going on was to write a song about it. It was years later that I figured out that I was have a panic disorder.
It all keeps adding up. I think I'm cracking up. Am I just paranoid? Am I just up? I declare I don't care no more.
Since first hearing their demos, producer Rob Cavallo never doubted Green Day's songwriting prowess. In the studio, he'd be equally stunned by their musical abilities.
I'll never forget that we finally got all the tracks done and all the music was actually laid, and it was time for Billy Joe to sing. And all the lyrics were written. I was very familiar with the songs. We started, let's say, like on a Tuesday morning. He did 1 or 2 takes, at the most on 2 songs, 3 takes of every song. And we had finished the singing of that entire album in 2 days. He sang the whole album in 2 days, which I still, to this day, I've never seen that feat duplicated.
2 months after they first entered the studio, the album was complete. Almost.
We were on tour, and it was, you eat bad food all the time, and you just end up, you know, getting bad stomach, and you get the shits, basically. And so we started calling it Liquid Dookie. Then we're like, wouldn't it be fun if we named our record that?
It's like, dude, we gotta call it Dookie. We had a fecal fascination. And those years.
Dookie was punk to the core, but punks themselves could not see past the major label stigma. While Green Day had been tracking their album, spite was spreading in the Berkeley underground.
I was really sad when everyone started listening to Green Day just because I wanted to be the only one. You always get attached to your favorite band, and then they blow up.
They just wanted to keep it as their pet project that they could hold on to and say, this is ours, and we're going to be selfish about it and not share it.
Bay Area punks were incensed. As far as they were concerned, Green Day had rejected the community that made them possible for a chance at riches and stardom. So the band made their case to Gilman's kids.
Well, I'd ask them, like, what bands they like. I say, you like, you know, the Ramones? You like the Clash? You like these bands? Oh, yeah. Well, they're on a major label, too, you know? Being on a major label doesn't mean that, you know, have a sweatshop in Cambodia and we're having these little tiny fingers make our CDs.
And you're going, wait a minute, you're not even in our band. You know, this is our decision, this is our choice, this is our livelihood. And what we decide to do with it is what we're going to do with it.
It's what's on the record, it's not what label's on it, you know. That's like getting a box of cornflakes and eating the cardboard, you know. I mean, it's stupid. There's a much more punk rock idea of getting with a major record company and spending all their money than there is getting your friend to press up the records in his basement and spending all his money and his mother's money that he borrowed, which is actually more revolutionary. I think it's bankrupting the major corporation myself, you know, but that's just me.
Prior to the release of Dookie, Green Day headed out on the road to support legendary political punks, Bad Religion. They were still traveling in a humble van, but not for long.
They were opening for us, and I remember, you know, I would make a point of watching them almost every night because they were one of my favorite bands. And I remember watching the kids just going off and thinking to myself, man, this is a hit single. Well, you know, what was a hit in the punk rock world? A hit was the one that the kids just went nuts for when you played it. It wasn't any, you know, no one thought that a song could get on the radio back then.
Punk rock was cracking out of its cocoon, and Dookie was its new form. By 1994, even the refreshing taste of grunge had staled. America was ready for some sun to break through Seattle's fog.
A lot of the guys at our school that were really into it were really kind of lame, and I just didn't really like the music, and I didn't really feel like it was fun or exciting or really saying anything to me.
I thought a lot of the grunge bands were nothing but arena rock bands, but you know, they haven't washed their hair. They were boring. It was all introverted, and it really didn't say anything.
And here comes Dookie at just the right time, and it has just the right songs, and these kids are just the right kids to do it.
Dookie was released on February 1st of 1994, but the label wasn't expecting much.
I thought it was going to sell 100,000 records. We thought, like, you know, yeah, there's 100,000 cool kids that remember what punk is, remember what this type of rock music was about.
For Green Day, sales figures and marketing plans were of little interest.
I knew that we liked the songs, and amongst us, we had a good record. Whether anybody else was going to get it or like it, kind of doesn't matter.
I knew we had a really special record. How far it was going to take us, I have no idea.